morning. Welcome back into the AM Show. Yes, big round of applause for this Wednesday morning edition of the AM Show. Now, our next guest is making a big impact in urban farming and community sustainability. As the farm manager at Spring Creek Towers, Jesse Miller is at the forefront of growing fresh produce, organizing community events, and educating people of all ages about sustainable farming. We're excited to learn more about his work and what's next for the farm. So, Jesse Miller, welcome.
Welcome.
To the AM Show.
Thank you for having me.
Yes. How you doing this morning?
I'm all right. I've
Yeah?
never been on TV before, but
Hey.
I'm excited. Farmers don't always get to talk to people, so.
Yeah. Well, we want to hear from the farmers. Welcome. I'm so glad that you could have your first experience here on the AM Show. It's going to be fun. I promise you that. So tell us a little bit exactly about the mission of what you guys do and what a day-to-day life as a farm manager looks like.
So the Spring Creek Towers farm is part of the Opportunity Hub, which is a settlement house in East New York. And our farm, which is currently like 1/8 of an acre, but we're growing it to be 1/2 of an acre, is a place to educate our school children, our older adults, and everybody in the community about gardening in your own backyard and also to produce fresh produce for the community.
That's awesome.
And it's so needed now. I feel like every video that I look up on TikTok or Instagram, it's all about, are you washing your produce? Look at all the chemicals that are on this produce here. And so are you guys trying to maybe promote a healthier way of eating as well if you grow it yourself?
Yeah, something that I always come back to is you can have a carrot from the grocery store, you can have a carrot from a farmer's market, you can have a carrot right from my garden, and you can taste the difference every time. So it's a workshop we do with our kids every semester. I go to the grocery store and I grab some carrots and I also harvest some carrots with the children.
Yeah.
And we wash them and we eat them, and the kids can tell you, even at 6 years old, 7 years old, exactly how that tastes and why it's better to have fresh produce.
That's amazing.
That's terrifying.
That's amazing.
But that's kind of terrifying too.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
it's that stark of a contrast.
Yeah, in a lot of, especially in New York City, there are just pockets of areas that they're just considered food deserts, and you don't have access to fresh produce, and even the access to fresh produce, then you have to worry about the pesticides and things like that. So to know that you have an initiative and that you're leading the forefront when it comes to that, it's amazing. And you're a Brooklyn native, right?
No, I'm actually from Los Angeles.
Okay,
you're from
okay.
LA.
You're from LA, got you. But you currently live in Brooklyn.
I live in Crown Heights.
Yeah, which is awesome, which is super, super cool.
Yeah. So was farming always like something that you were into when you lived in Los Angeles? Were you a farm boy growing up? 'Cause I know LA proper, I mean, it's a city, right?
Yeah.
But when you get outside of LA, there are a lot of farms out there.
Yeah, so, I wasn't raised farming at all. I mean, we always had a garden in our backyard. My mom has a giant cactus garden, and I think I always just wanted to be outside. I remember always wanted to play in the dirt, and as soon as I could get a job, I wanted to be a farmer. And the idea of growing people fresh produce and then eating it with them is just so meaningful, I couldn't do anything else.
Yeah, well, that's the thing, is the ability to actually physically taste something and to see what your work is doing and the positive impact it can have on people that are right there with you, helping you grow it, but also people that you give it to. I mean, some of the photos we just had up on the screen, just some of the cutest look at these kids that you're teaching them, you're helping them learn. So what is that like feedback been for you? Like seeing kids when they are able to distinguish the difference between the different vegetables they're eating and knowing that you're making an impact on them. What's that like for you?
I mean, it's the most meaningful part of my job, really. Children are so intelligent, and when you give them the opportunity to learn with all of their senses, you can see their intelligence really shine. We try to, with each group of students from the elementary school, really focus on one bed at a time. So last spring we focused on radishes, and we grew them from start to finish. And by the end, the students could really understand every step of how to grow their own food and tell you exactly when it was time to harvest a radish. And that kind of power that they had was just amazing to see.
Wow. Is there any, when it comes to that and in the education process of the kids, is there any, I guess, specific techniques, technology? I mean, with now when we have, we can do so much with our phones and things like that. I'm interested to know, what does farming look like now in 2025? Because sometimes when I think of farming, I'm like, all right, you're tilling the ground and you got your shovel and you're digging.
Yeah.
But what additional pieces of technology help you in that process?
I mean, farming can can be pretty technological. That's not what we do, obviously. We're in Brooklyn.
Yeah.
I don't have a tractor. I like to stay organized like anybody. But it all comes back to the stuff that I teach the elementary school kids, which is use your senses. Be with the soil as much as you can. And can you sense the right moisture? Can you sense the right flavor in the vegetables? It all comes back to how intimate you are with your crops.
I love that.
And I think that's the thing as well. We're talking about 2025 and the difference from maybe 100, 200 years ago about how we get our food. We can just go to a grocery store so easily and grab food, but you don't realize how long it takes to grow just one radish, right? And so you put kind of that love into it, you put that care, and you understand why, oh, no. Like when we have grocery stores now, everything is so convenient, and that's why maybe it's not that good for you. So do you think like the kids, are they understanding that and learning that now? Do you see them having such a hands-on impact with what you guys are growing? Do you see their minds kind of change a little bit in terms of their relationship with food?
Yeah, I really do. And there's a fact that I want to cite, which is that it takes somebody 4 to 5 times to like a new food. So we try to repeat things like in any educational setting. So we might eat the radish 3 weeks in a row, and by the 3rd week, the students really know exactly what they like about the radish, and they know exactly how to tell their parents, hey, I don't want that radish in the grocery store. I want this radish from Jesse's garden. And that comes into, they become advocates for themselves. They can tell their parents, and their parents can advocate on their behalf. We want a farmer's market in our neighborhood. We don't want this grocery store that doesn't serve us. We want a farmer's market with fresh produce, and hopefully my nonprofit can provide that eventually.
I love that.
Well, yeah, that's so great because it kind of starts from the roots, right? So if you want to have education, you have to start with the youth. That's where people's minds are changed, and that's how you're able to actually see changes over the next decade, 20 years. It's great for people who are more seasoned to understand and know, but if you actually want change to happen, it does start with the young. So that's wonderful.
Listen, if you guys missed the wordplay from my amazing co-host, she said it starts with the roots.
I didn't even know I said that, but I'm happy.
If that went over your head, you're not listening close. You're listening too slow. It starts with the roots.
I definitely meant that. Definitely meant that one there.
That's amazing. Jesse, it's along with what Nadine is saying, it starts with the roots. It's really teaching. It seems like through your program, kids are learning things even outside of farming. You mentioned advocating for yourself, and these are lessons that even there are some adults who have difficulties doing this. And so, can you speak more into some of the other things that the kids are learning and acquiring as far as character traits that they're learning through the process of gaining in farming knowledge?
Yeah, there's a level of independence that you learn. So I think a garden is a safe place to give children independence. So they can sort of understand that this radish bed is a place that they can take ownership. Now we're talking about the radish bed again. And you see there's some kids that pick up really quickly about the sort of mechanical and the leadership aspects of it. And there's some kids that don't pick up on that. And you see, because they have to work as a team, and because they really care about growing this thing, that they start to be kind to each other, and they start to help each other. And there's a level of teamwork, leadership, and also kindness, because there's a kind way to touch plants and to harvest plants and to touch worms in the soil, and all of this interacting with life in a way that focuses on kindness and teamwork really shines through.
Come on.
Yeah, it's so true. Do you believe in talking to your plants? Because I know a lot of people, I have friends, I know people, they sit there and they're like, you're beautiful, you're going to grow, you're going to be great. And sometimes the plants die. Maybe they don't like all that affection. I don't know, but do you find that there is because I kind of believe it, that there is this connection that we have with plants, with nature, like we're all one in a sense. And is that something that you teach, maybe even talking with the plants, kindness?
I think definitely. You can be imaginative with children, and I love, we do dances, we do stretch circles, we do songs. I'm into, the arts and all that stuff. So any way we can interact with the natural world and talk to them is definitely great.
Yeah.
So cool.
I love it. I think it's so fun there. Now, I want to touch upon a word that I know is a big part of your mission as well, sustainability. Can you tell folks what exactly that is? What is sustainability, and how you guys are implementing that in what you do every day?
So sustainability, I think, is a bit complicated because it's both about how we can consume products in a way that is not damaging the environment. But I think it also is, how can we consume products and be consumers that sustains ourselves and our communities? And so an example of that is composting. So we're really big about doing education about how to compost in Starrett City, where our farm is. And the aspect of that is, we want to care for our earth by not putting food scraps into landfills where they can become carbon emissions. Instead, put food scraps into a compost bucket and I will make it into soil. Wow. And so we're not only saving the environment, but we're sustaining our own community farm and we're sustaining our community. So I think that's a really great way to look at sustainability.
Wow, okay, gotcha. And just having that knowledge for like, how do you even compost, right?
Yeah. I think even, growing up, composting wasn't, especially when it comes to New York. I have friends that I went to college with where they're actually from the West Coast, and composting, it's regular. It's a regular process. But if I'm being honest, we just got, I think maybe a couple months ago in my apartment, we now have a compost. We have recycling, trash, but we just received a compost container within the last, I would say, like 6 months. So it's something that's growing, and to know that you're implementing that, and the kids and the children are learning about that at an early age. It's great.
Yeah.
It's amazing. We work with an amazing nonprofit called Big Reuse, which works with the Department of Sanitation to do education about compost and also provide compost bins to areas that aren't serviced by the DSNY program. And an amazing thing about Big Reuse is that they collect a compost bin from our farm every single week. And whenever we ask, or whenever any community garden in New York City asks, they'll drop off a truckload of compost. And it's free. And it's funded by the city, and it's an amazing way that we're not just creating trash as consumers, but we're actually creating soil and then receiving it to grow our own food and have some food sovereignty.
Yeah, I mean, it's wild when you learn about all of that, like how much waste there actually is that can be doing good. So I think programs like yours, they're so beneficial just to educate folks on all levels, but it's so great that you're starting them young. Now, there's one big thing that I want to touch upon with you. And so we talk about the Opportunity Hub, and there's so many branches of the Opportunity Hub, but they also actually have a paper called the Spring Creek Sun. And you got to do something super cool for the Spring Creek Sun. You actually interviewed Hollywood actor, environmentalist Ed Begley Jr. for one of the editions. So please, what was that like? There he is up on the screen. He discussed composting with you, amongst other things. How was that? Look at your name right there. I love seeing it.
I mean, Ed Begley Jr. is someone who's been an amazing environmental pioneer for his whole career in Hollywood. And so it was amazing to talk to somebody who's sort of, I can receive knowledge from. He's been advocating for composting, for people starting their own gardens, for people being more sustainable for his whole career. And it was amazing to see his excitement and have it passed on to me.
Yeah,
that's great.
And how important is that to kind of use people who have a platform, not use them, but work in tandem with people that have a platform in order to get the mission of what you guys are doing, what he's been doing his whole career out there?
Yeah, I think it's really important. I mean, it's great for celebrities and Hollywood actors to connect with nonprofits because we're doing so much work in the community that we can't always connect with a wider audience. And he has the same goals as us. And so when we can work together, it can be really amazing.
Yeah, wonderful. How cool is that?
It's super cool. We were looking up Ed and some of his accolades, some of the things he's been in, and just to show that there's a partnership there and that you guys are working together. It's really special.
Yeah, it's super special. So I just want to know what's coming up because we're transitioning from winter into spring. I know that changes some things for you guys on the farm. So what new programs do you guys have to look forward to coming up this spring so people can maybe get involved?
Yeah, so at our farm, we have a few things going on. If you're an older adult in Starrett City, we had an older adult gardening club with our older adult centers that was every other week, and we're stepping it up to every single Tuesday. We're going to be gardening with our older adults. We also have a Earth Day celebration and volunteer day with Parks Department. So there's the Fresh Creek estuary next to our farm that we want to start stewarding. So we're going to be cleaning it up, clearing some brush, and maybe eventually planting some native species. And then in May, which I cannot tell you the date yet, but we're having what we're calling a Tea in the Garden in May event, where we're going to have some tea workshops and some bouquets for Mother's Day and all sorts of stuff. So tons of ways to get involved, either as a volunteer or just as someone in community.
Amazing. Awesome, guys. And if you are interested, we have all the ways right below here where you guys can get in touch with the Opportunity Hub or with Jesse in order to learn more. And just you talking about tea and a picnic and a garden, I mean, sounds wonderful, especially waking up this morning to all the snow on the ground. If you guys are in New York City watching, you know exactly what I'm talking about. So I'm definitely looking forward to seeing more of what you guys are doing. And I just wanted to thank you so much for coming on the show this morning.
Thank you so much.
Yeah,
Thank you to
thanks for
Jesse.
coming. Yeah.
Thank you so much. All right, guys. Well, that was an incredible interview. I told you so. We're going to take a quick commercial break. When we come back, we have more of the show on this Wednesday, so don't go anywhere. Thank you, Jesse.